The decision to start a new life is never an easy one, but for Joe, the transition was far from figurative, becoming a permanent addition to a game world. It doesn't take long to learn that people with his abilities are actively hunted. In fact, if the wrong people gained knowledge of what he was capable of, assassins would appear in droves. In his pursuit of power, Joe fights alongside his team, completes quests, and delves into the mysteries of his class, which he quickly discovers can only be practiced in secret. Ultimately, his goal is to complete every mission, master every ability, and learn all the world's secrets. All he has to do is survive long enough to make it happen. Welcome to XP Share. This is my review of the Completionist Chronicles Book 1, Ritualist by Dakota Kraut. This review will contain fairly moderate spoilers for the entire book, so do want to put that out front that I will be discussing events that take place. I won't be diving into excruciating detail, however, we'll be covering some of the story beats and some of the things that exist within this, so spoiler warning. I saw this in my recommended on Audible and figured I would give it a shot. Started the story blind, and Elon Musk is apparently in this. My immediate thoughts were, what am I even reading? So apparently this is a lit RPG, which is new to me. It's basically a hack.sign type situation, Sword Art Online. I guess for bookies it would be comparable to something like Ready Player One, where essentially the book takes place in a game world or a combination of real life and the game world itself. So after an accident in war, Joe signs a contract with his friend to spend the rest of his life, the rest of his days, within the world of Eternium. Upon reading and signing the agreement, he receives a +1 intelligence for reading the terms and conditions. If only I felt that way in real life signing a contract. After a lengthy test, in-game, Joe is given a few titles and new classes to choose. The one he does end up choosing is called the Ritualist, which would make him the first and only Ritualist on the server and would follow an unknown god on the server. The Ritualist is his class, but it will appear as Cleric as he receives a bonus quest to not let anyone know he is truly a Ritualist. Title powers sound like they would come in handy at first, and definitely do later on in sections of the book. The dynamics of how multiple titles and fractional titles interact with each other help provide new dynamics within the game world and story implications. This book is legitimately funny. There's some really great moments in this, not only just character interactions, but the AI Game Master prompts that continually come up constantly provide some nice callbacks to comical poking at MMO, gaming cliches, and level up mechanics in general. I'm a bit of a stat junkie when it comes to games, so I did appreciate the D&D type deep dive at the beginning into abilities, the stats, professions, and the facts that it continues to do this throughout the book is a huge plus for me. I'm actually new to this genre, which I kind of detailed earlier. I have played some games that follow this type of story thread. I did start Ready Player One, but it didn't really click with me. I might revisit that book at some point. But yeah, definitely enjoying this kind of romp into a game world. The NPCs in this world are essentially living people who work, have jobs, have presumably homes as well. This is a living world that is affected by quests and actions taken by the players. Even something as simple as the influx of players or travelers, as the NPCs call them, and their ability to never truly die being worked into the lore of the game is a nice touch. Joe starts off wondering how to level, as there's no waypoints to point him in the right direction. He does eventually find some wounded guards and shows off his abilities as a healer and earns some fame with the city's NPCs and a local guild called the Wanderers, and eventually joins them as well. Player characters in this world have a nice range of normal names, truly gamer names, Hunter x Hunter type situations, and to full-on meme names like A10, the Guildmaster of the Wanderers. We also have moments of characters like Guess having a trash headset and using type to talk, which leads to some fun moments. Further building on this, Dakota Kraut's continued ability to make this feel like a gaming world that could actually exist. Early in the story, they fight rabbits, and nobody is looting the bodies because of trash loot. After days of this occurring and thousands of players not looting the bodies, it triggers an event of zombits, becoming a plague that needs to be exterminated. This was a really nice approach to world events, and honestly, I want to play this game. A rival guild starts to mess with the Wanderers on and off throughout the story, and based on events that occur within the book, I expect some payoff in the later entries. At one point, Joe is forced to jump off a cliff by the hardcores, and due to an ability on his cloak, he's able to survive with 1 hit point as a puddle of flesh and bones, and begins to heal himself and finds himself in a very high level zone and is swiftly killed by the mobs in it. The system freaks out that he survived the jump, and Joe becomes an expert level jumper and earns the Jumplemancer skill, which pays off later and continues to be a thing he uses kind of throughout the story. So upon rebirth, he finds out his guild is at war with the hardcores, and getting max skill put his guild in the lead. However, they didn't tell his guildmaster or guildmates at the time that it was him who earned the max level skill that gained them this reputation. Joe continues to own his skills, earn reputation with the guards and some of the local shops, and his guild through his academia and healing abilities. His guild randomly showing up and expecting healing at every beck and call. The lack of healer respect makes me feel Dakota had some experience as a healer in MMOs, and this pain is too familiar. His class as a ritualist sounds like the most interesting to live with in this world, permanently with a slow burn leveling leading into a potential godlike endgame status. Definitely curious to see where this goes, if he keeps the class or where other subclasses become available as the story goes on. There's this character Jake, the alchemist, who seems to be pretty knowledgeable and a bit creepy. I am curious to see if all of the NPCs in this world are actually NPCs, or if they're player characters, devs, that type of thing. Everything from titles to professions to the HUD within this book, each little detail that kind of fulfill this game world works really well for me. He does meet his deity later on in the kind of god quarter that all houses have a deity shrine. Curious if his deity as well is also a player character or a game dev. I'm also curious if the deity is actually his friend from the beginning of the book, but we'll kind of see as the story unfolds. We're introduced to the Mage College, who are basically hemorrhaging money from people to teach magic and banning all non-magical guild-sanctioned spellcasting. The Mage Guild being kind of placed in simile to a college in real life, kind of being somewhat for a real college milking you, taking advantage of you. Joe making a comment about how they would call and beg him for money. That sort of thing was pretty hilarious. At some point after meeting a character named Sel, Joe decides to stop the mage accords, which of course makes sense because of a title he was given when he started the game, which would allow him to destroy them. I'd never considered the archmages were all entrapped until this point, and thought they were just more elitists or being taxed for using their spells, that sort of thing. Seeing that they were all excited to be freed to some extent, I'm sure later on we'll have some people who are not happy about this. Was an interesting turn, and I noticed Joe stole everyone's kill at the last minute, kind of in a classic gamer move. Joe returns after the final climax with the Mage Guild to find that his guild is celebrating, and his notification list is spammed with updates, and is now the first on the server to reach level 10, I believe. He will strive to be a cult leader in the future and kind of build his clan even more outside the guild. Definitely look forward to the next book and see how the war with the Wolfmen goes with the Mage Guild kind of being open to the world. Probably see more magic casters in general in book 2. I do imagine somewhat of a time skip happening as well. All in all, this book was a super fun romp into a game world. Has some seriously funny writing and hit me kind of in some classic gamer feels as well. and how people and parties are, how lame certain things can be, some rules and effects, that sort of thing. Definitely recommend it. Solid 8 out of 10. You'll definitely want to be interested in gaming in general, I would think, for this to truly appeal to you, but I can't wait to dig into book 2. So book 2 review will have to wait maybe a week or two, since Mistborn Era 2 book 4 does come out later on this year or early next. I'm going to be rereading the books in Era 2, so I'll be starting with Alloy of Law, so that will most likely be my next review. So look forward to that. Wheel of Time books 4, 5, and 6 are in the mail, so I expect to be doing a review on those as well over the next few weeks. As I get that, probably take me a few days to get through book 4, maybe a week. I believe it's one of the larger Wheel of Time books. However, this has been another review on XP Share. Please like and subscribe, comment below for what books you would like to see me reviewed next. Have a good one.